The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you.
Jesus said to his disciples, Amen, amen, I say to you, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will become joy. When a woman is in labor, she is anguished because her hour has arrived. But when she has given birth to a child, she no longer remembers the pain because of her joy that a child has been born in the world. So you are also now in anguish. But I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy away from you. On that day you will not question me about anything. Amen, amen, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he will give you. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
So imagine for a second that you had a faith life, a spiritual practice, a spiritual discipline in which you no longer felt, or you moved beyond the various hungers of your body. Imagine if you no longer felt the heaviness or the weight of the emotional needs of human beings for companionship. You never felt sadness or disappointment or envy or resentment. Imagine if you never felt the need to accomplish anything. You'd never risk failure. If you were able to put into practice your faith in such a way, on the one hand you'd say you've achieved a state of enlightenment. You've moved into your true self. You've found a higher form of being. On the other hand, if you were able to do this, you probably would have moved on from your Christian faith. Because sadly, your Christian faith is not something that can provide you with this. Your Christian faith, or our Christian faith, informs us that the needs of the human body, of the human spirit, of the human mind, these are things that are going to be with us until we die. That we're essentially stuck in this mess forever. And there's no technique, there's nothing that we can do in order to free ourselves from our fallen humanity. And beware of anyone who tells you otherwise. I'll always remember the story of a Jesuit when I was a novice. He was a Jesuit, he was a wonderful older Jesuit who was directing retreats. And we all thought that he had achieved the state of enlightenment, where he had found his true self and moved beyond the desires of the human being. And the story was told that on his deathbed, one of his good friends, one of his close friends, asked him. He said, "Father, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get to heaven?" And he said, "Well, I think I'll probably see what my old high school sweetheart is up to." And I always think about that no matter how old we get, no matter how far along in this life we get, we still are human. We still have human desires, and we still have needs for companionship and love. In today's gospel, I think Jesus reminds us of this, that our time on earth is going to be messy. He says you're going to weep, you're going to lament. Jesus himself wept and lamented and got angry. He says we will grieve. But he also says that our grief will become joy. And so Jesus doesn't offer us some program to elevate ourselves beyond our human existence, to separate us from the messiness of life. But what he does promise us are the things that he himself practiced and he himself won. He promises to give us a faith to recognize that God is indeed with us at all times. He promises us the gift of hope, that things will work out for those who love him. And he promises us the gift of love, that we might be good to ourselves, but especially good to others, no matter what. And that's what we celebrate in the Eucharist, that in the messiness of this life, in the realities, the harsh realities of life, that God is with us and God gives us the gifts of faith and of hope and of love.